Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave Sports and Entertainment original presented by Prize Picks. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get this podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is that time of week where we have a guest join us. Check him out on the Jenkins and Jones podcast on the Volume Network. DragonflyJonez, Tyler Perrier. What's going on, man?
My guy, appreciate you having me back. This is our first time talking in 2025, so let me say Happy New Year, man. Shout out to Ryan Cortez on that one. So
yeah.
You know,
I saw Cortez last week at Dominique's live show, and he told me he was legitimately furious that I had called him and told him. He's like, dude, no, I was furious. I was breathing hard. Like, he was truly upset about this.
I mean, I guess everyone has their thing. I'm really a bro. If it's our first time talking in the new year, in like January or something, I'm gonna wish you a Happy New Year. I'm gonna wish good things for you in the upcoming year. I don't think that's out of bounds.
Yeah.
Why are we putting a cap on the goodwill that we're sending towards our friends?
I'm not gonna be mad at somebody wishing me well. Like that's
Right.
my thing. Okay, it might be a little anachronistic. If you want to walk up and give me a Christmas gift right now, I take that bitch and open it up.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no, we gonna do this, but I want to send a shout out to you. You used to be a fan of the team when they called it a racial slur, and then I feel like me being a positive influence in your life, I got you off that narcotic. But now they not stepping on it like they used to no more. It's a little bit more pure for you. So now you done gone back over there, and you and your boys, the Commandos, they going to the NFC Championship game, man. Good for y'all.
Oh yeah, appreciate it, man. Hey, yeah, that pack is fresh off the boat. That Jayden Daniels has not been stepped on, dog. I am back. I am back, and I cannot believe it. Like, we've talked through the whole season about my reluctance to jump on board. Then I came back on board, and bro, I mean, they have exceeded my wildest expectations. When they drafted Jayden Daniels, right? Like, I was a fan of the kid in college. I knew he'd be a really good pro. My main thought was not, okay, this is the future of the franchise. I'm back on board. You remember the scene in Menace to Society when Kane told his grandparents that he was moving to Atlanta with Jada Pinkett, and he didn't get any well wishes. They were just like, Granny was just like, I hope you don't mess that girl life up. That's exactly how I felt when they drafted Jayden. I was like, please don't ruin this young man the way I have seen you ruin other promising quarterbacks like RG3. But he has just exceeded expectations, dog. I did not expect this dude to be the rookie of the year. I did not expect this dude to be the best quarterback in the NFC this season. I did not expect him to be, to lead this team to an NFC championship. Like, bro, just exceeded expectations on all levels, man.
Yo, because it's an interesting team you guys have there. Like, as you were talking, I realized in ways that I had not quite previously grasped that the Commandos made me feel old in a few ways. In fact, I'd say 3 ways. Number 1, I'm old enough to remember when the team had a different name, right? Number 2, when I was a younger man, I somewhat fiercely defended the right that people had to wear a baseball cap backwards and did not really understand why it is that someone would take such umbrage with a person doing that. But now the Commandos got a head coach that looked like he was in wrestling when he was in college. Like, he looked like his grades were terrible. If you look at them pictures of Dan Quinn, Sean, you might be able to go find one while we're here. He looked like he got a 1.7. Yeah, he looked like he got a 1.7 and he holds somebody's head in the toilet.
He looked like his major was shot put, bro. Like that's what he looks like.
Yes.
There's nothing that looks academic about that young man in his college days.
And he had that mustache. Like, my homie Brandon worked at ESPN. He played under him at Hofstra or whatever. He the head coach of a football team out there with his hat on backwards. And I have to say, at 44, you look silly, son. And I can't even call him son because he probably about 60 years old. But that's the other way they made me feel. Oh, and number 3, we in a whole new generation of football. This wouldn't have happened as recently as 10 years ago, which is, there we go, put that picture up there of Dan Quinn. He'd be like this during the games. You know what I'm saying? Like out there, he was doing that. It was one thing when he was doing that as a defensive coordinator. He didn't do that when he was a head coach the first time. Like, somewhere along the way, he got fired by the Falcons and was like, next time I'm going to do it my way. And then he decided he was just going to get out here and wear these backwards hats. But this other thing, this is when I really realized I was old. This wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. We are in our first era where quarterbacks are allowed to have ridiculous looking hair. And that boy, Jayden Daniels, every time I see him, I'm like, son, have you considered a haircut? Like we are like the generation of parents who encourage their children to get haircuts, that's over. We too busy trying to grow braids our goddamn selves, right? That has already passed. It's long gone. Every time I see Jayden Daniels, I just want to call him son. Why? Because it's like, son, your hair looks ridiculous.
Yeah. I think the Dan Quinn backwards hat thing, I think it's a different deal with him. I don't think he's wearing that to look cool. I think that is the just kind of an indicator that he's ready for whatever, whenever. I think that's I might have to move some furniture around this motherfucker today. I think that's why
I might have to get all the way in your face. Right? I need to get all the way. The Earl Weaver, I turn my hat backwards so I can get all the way in your face.
Yeah, right. Like I see the backwards hat on Dan Quinn. I'm like, he's got it like that in case he got to get up in like a D lineman's chest and show him how to beat the coverage or some shit, right? Like that's what I see when I see his hat backwards.
But that's bad for business though. The problem with the backwards hat for him, that's bad for business because you can't sell that hat now. You know what I'm saying? You know the money want to get down there and tell him like, hey man, you better turn that hat around so people can know where to buy it. Because like a backwards hat like that, baby, I can get that anywhere. I can get that at the kiosk. I can get that at the airport, anywhere. Just a black backwards hat? Nah, playboy, I need that thing facing up so people can know where to get it or what to get.
Yeah, for sure on that. And with Jayden Daniels' hair, like, he's had quite the hair journey. I remember he was rocking the Randy Moss fro, at LSU. Like, yeah. I mean, it's a different day with these youngins, man.
Yeah, no, it's a different, whole different thing. Look, I don't have kids. So on one level, I don't feel like I have the right to judge what y'all do with these kids. But I see these kids, right? Like, even if I can't cook, I know how the shit tastes. Just throwing it out there for a couple of y'all. But it was good that y'all got this. It's good that we got this ability to look forward. As people know, all the good people were rooting for the Lions, and it is unfortunate that America's team could not bring it all the way home. But on the bright side, this part, I have to say, sometimes it's about bigger things. And 3 out of 4 of the quarterbacks in the division, in the NFC, or the conference championship round, will be of African descent, which is a very, very new thing to happen in this league. And so Jerry Goff, that's a real ally. You know what I'm saying? He did what was necessary. It was about something bigger than him, man. He knew a lot of us needed a little pick me up. We knew what the weekend was about to be like. And I tell y'all people this right now. I don't know if your phone was anything like my phone when Mark Andrews gave up the booty both of them times at the end of that game. But we were joking during the week about, this is going to be like the Lakers and the Celtics. This is going to be like Larry Holmes and Jerry Cooney with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson going against each other. The problem with white people is, and I've learned this through time, and y'all know I'm right when I say this, is that white people, race ain't funny to them, right? Race, they know what race is fundamentally, a tool of subjugation. So they don't laugh about that. Either they profit from it or they're mortified from it but they can't see it as something that you allow to laugh at least not in ways that are benign. They will laugh at race, but it'll be in, things that are typically terrible, right? Although white people who spend a lot of time around black people, like work at the black people radio station and stuff, they have fascinating observations about black people that are like our observations about white people from being immersed in the circumstances. Anyway, black people, we can talk about race and just laugh about it because it's such an omnipresent part of our life that we just kind of got to have some jokes about it. So the Lamar Josh Allen thing, even if we wasn't always joking, we joking, right? Like we by and large joking about that. Man, Mark Andrews gave up the booty. I don't know how many varieties of the same text message I got from black people in all 4 time zones. That's right, even in the mountain.
Yeah, it's I cannot believe the horrible game that Mark Andrews had. It's just, and with so much riding on it, right? Like you've got an all-time historic season from Lamar riding on this, an all-time great season from a quarterback, and to have the dropsies like that and to have that open field strip, that felt like game to me. I was like, oh, they're cooked when I saw that. Yeah. I was
That
like,
was the
they're
one.
cooking.
The
They're
drop,
done.
it's cold outside. He got out here and thought that he was damn, I don't even know, Billy White Shoes Johnson. You know, like he's out here doing shimmies and shit.
Yeah. But I ain't gonna let you off your hook about your lines because y'all have a question about the future here too.
Hey, I think you got a misunderstanding. I think you got a misunderstanding about the
Hear me
dynamics
out.
of
Hear
this
me
show. You don't have a hook to let me off of, sir.
Now, okay, well, I want your opinion. I value your opinion. You're a very
Okay.
well informed fan and a very intelligent
Okay.
man, and I value your
Okay.
opinion on things like this.
Okay.
Um, I think the Lions, that roster, they are for sure good enough to win a Super Bowl. But
Yes.
we know that upcoming, you're going to lose Ben Johnson, you're going to lose Aaron Glenn. And oftentimes when we have teams that have that Super Bowl window all open and it's slammed shut and we're like, what went wrong? We trace it back and it's losing coordinators. So how are you sitting with that? Is there any concern I know you're not a big Ben Johnson guy, but Aaron Glenn, that's going to be a lost dog. Are there any concerns on your end about that?
So I'm actually a huge Ben Johnson guy as a coordinator. I just don't think you can put big brain like that as your head coach unless Tom Brady is going to be your quarterback, right? Like he just do a lot of big brain stuff, man. Like he might be Josh McDaniels is the concern that people have about Ben Johnson. No, the brain drain is a thing. The brain drain is the concern, but let us be honest about this. I feel like we could find somebody else to give up 45 points to a child. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't Aaron Glenn's fault necessarily. I think he did a pretty good job, but I didn't feel like we had a dude that you just absolutely 100% can't replace, right? Nah, it might be close. I said that on Monday's show. It might be close. That's how this works, right? But what I'm realizing and remembering as I dip back into rooting is that only one team is going to win it, right? Like you're going to lose just about every single time. I need this to be a team I enjoy watching and that plays with a spirit and an ethos that makes me feel good and, quite honestly, proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And thus far, that is what this team has provided. And I believe that the man Dan Campbell at the top, for now, I got faith in what he can do. Now, how much longer am I going to be able to put up with this Jared Goff situation? It's a fantastic question. I don't really have the answer for that, right? He gave up the booty quite a few times. I just felt like he was being way too generous with it. You know, have some class. You know what I'm saying? Like pull your skirt down, man. Everybody can see you.
Yeah, the contrast between Jared and Jayden in that game was just, I feel like this. You've got your guy at quarterback if you go into every game thinking wants to win this game because of our quarterback. Period. Point blank. End of statement. Not if our quarterback doesn't turn it over, if our defense shows up, if we stop throwing. If there are no qualifiers, and if you go into every game thinking we always have a chance because our quarterback, you got the guy. And I think that Washington fans for sure feel that way with Jayden. Kansas City fans, Baltimore fans, Buffalo fans, Cincinnati fans. Detroit fans, y'all don't feel that way about Jared. Let's be honest here.
Yeah. Counterpoint though. Counterpoint. You are making a very fair point, right? I don't want to. I'm not at all dismissing what you are saying. What I am saying, and what becomes interesting about that boy with the funny hair, I would argue the only team in the NFC who feels that way is Washington.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know damn sure I know Philly doesn't feel that way. I know that for a fact.
No, nor should they.
Yeah,
nor should they.
Mm-hmm.
Look. The NFC now is what the East in the NBA was in the aughts. Now, what could be interesting about the presence of Daniels, depending on how good he turns out to be, because I do have questions about how high the ceiling is, right? He is a much better rookie than Josh Allen was, for example, but I think Josh Allen has a ceiling that Daniels doesn't have. I think that Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, Burrow, I don't know how high that elevator goes up. We're going to find out. But he could be Magic Johnson in the 80s in the sense that part of why Magic could go to the finals 8 times in 10 years in the West is who else was really getting it cracking in the West. And the NFC currently doesn't have quarterbacks, right? This draft right here don't really got quarterbacks in it. They got guys you've heard of, but I don't think they have NFL star levels of quarterback. Washington might be the only team in that conference that has a quarterback where they're like, we are set for the future. And that is the most interesting and alluring thing. Look, man, Jayden Daniels doing this so good, it's got people about to trick themselves in the cliff again.
Yeah. It's, it's you can just do the simple math here, and I've been a fan of the play calling that Cliff has done, right? But he had a
Yes.
dual threat quarterback in Arizona who he did not reach these heights with, and he schemed for him the same way that he's scheming for the dual threat quarterback in Washington. But for some reason, the guy in Washington is doing way more with his scheming because he's flat out the better player. I feel like you got a generational quarterback in that guy, right? But yeah, it's Cliff is probably going to be a head coach somewhere next season, and I don't know. I there was a part of me at the mid-season or so. I was like, I think Cliff's going to realize he's not a head coach guy. He's a coordinator. This is his niche. But then just watching it just completely overexceeded everyone's expectations. I think Cliff's gone. He's going to get that bag somewhere, dog. And someone's going to throw it at him.
I ain't gonna lie, man. If somebody give Cliff Kingsbury a head coaching job out of this, I'm gonna have to say something that I have not said in a very long time. What about Eric Bieniemy? Like, I just like that would be the one that will send me into that particular. I would say, no, we can't do this. I mean, the fact that Cliff got an NFL head coaching job after he got fired from a college job where not only did he not win anything with Patrick Mahomes, he couldn't even get Patrick Mahomes into the top 5 of the draft.
Yeah. Everyone talks about how much of a sneak job Mahomes was to just come out and establish himself as perhaps the greatest quarterback ever, and it's on Cliff. That's how he was a sneak job, right? Like it's all on Cliff, dog.
Right there in your face. But I would tell you about I got all these texts, right? So after Lamar Jackson and the Ravens lost that game, I got cats being like, I will paraphrase it, that Mark Andrews put party over country in making that drop. It was lots of forms of that one because we were this close to having a guaranteed black quarterback win the Super Bowl because there were going to be 4 black quarterbacks in the conference championship games. That was about to happen. It was that close. On one level, they're like a black quarterback, which is still a fairly provocative notion, right? Like there are still teams that have not, the way I put it, started a black quarterback on purpose. The Giants, for example, they have started a black quarterback because somebody else got hurt. That one time they let Geno start and then they fired the coach on Monday, right? But there's still teams that have never said, hey, we're leaning in on this. This is what we're going to do. It is on one level wild that, not really wild, but there are enough black quarterbacks to where this could happen and we weren't counting it down. You just kind of looked up and then noticed that it happened, right? On the other hand, I'm 44 years old. It's okay to say this is a day we ain't never think was going to come.
Yeah. I remember the first time as a fan when we were close was 99 when we could have had Sean King from Tampa, possibly beating the Rams to face McNair. I remember that. But yeah, it's for sure been a lot of progress made there. And as far as Mark Andrews being a sleeper agent, hey, I'm willing to hear y'all out, man, because the performance we saw
hold on, not y'all. I was telling you what I received. Hold on. They ain't about to be coming at me. I was just telling you what people was telling me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I hope he wouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like that would be really disappointing.
It seemed he seemed suspectably bad. Like it seemed like there might be something bigger than coincidence at play. I ain't gonna lie to you, man.
I ain't gonna lie to you on this one, and it ain't happened with. I don't think this happened with him. But hey, man, I'll be checking point spreads now. Like now that this gambling is out here, we don't have like a Jonte Porter situation like that. You ain't just about to be out here messing up and me not have no questions about it. It's not responsible for me generally to come out here and to talk about it. But no. Bo Jones out here seeing if you out here trying to shake the house up. Like I'm looking there. But and to be honest, man, we got 3 black quarterbacks and we got Josh Allen. And I will say it once again, until they started acting like he was Jaheim, he was never going to reach his ceiling. But once they started adding a few Jaheim plays and he got out there making it happen, he became the menace. That's Josh Allen, the menace to society. That's what he has become. I seen them interviews where he talk about where he see like a white linebacker or a DB and they going to run a milk check. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you, man. Like, yeah, yo, you ain't seen that? He said he out here running them. The milk check, I'm telling you right now, right? Like, Josh Allen ain't of the white Mike archetype, but I assure you, if he had gone to high school, when I went to high school, where I went to high school, he'd have pulled up in the F-150 with the kicker 12s in the back, bumping G-Funk. I promise you, he would have been that cat that was out there doing it, right? He's making it happen. But with the black quarterbacks, what I found interesting is, and this is like for me the biggest evolution, they are all different, right? There's not a real similarity. Patrick Mahomes is the prototype, right? What does a quarterback do that you don't want? Jayden Daniels is, to me, a bit more air raid system inclined, like very athletic, but it's the accuracy that's getting there with him. And Jalen Hurts is, if you remove the connotations, he's a bit more traditional in the archetype of our ancestors playing quarterback. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's not an electrifying quarterback as most of the brothers seem to be, but
get it done. Get it done. He's out there on force of personality, right? Like he is the leader dude. He's the dude that puts on for Oklahoma and Alabama in the intro, right? Even though Russell Wilson does that, but neither one of them schools benched him. Jalen Hurts is still like, yeah, Alabama, I still ride for y'all. I mean, good for you, partner. I don't necessarily know if I would have done that. Like, he's that guy, and he's a fullback. That is the other part. He is a fullback.
Yeah, young tush push over there. But yeah, bro, like, you know, as a Commanders fan coming into that game, I'm not scared of Jalen Hurts. I am not scared. I'm not scared of that team at all, honestly. Like I said, we've got a guy who gives us a chance every game. Everyone's like, you know, Saquon, of course. Everyone's like, what are y'all gonna do about Saquon? And my answer to that is we're gonna do what every other team that has played Saquon has done against them. Nothing. He's gonna get us 140, 150 yards. But what we need to do, we need to clamp down on those third and shorts and keep him out the end zone. That is how you scheme against Saquon. He's gonna get his, but you just got to make sure he doesn't hurt you in a way when he gets them.
And that's the thing. Jalen Hurts, the only quarterback in NFL history, saving his job by getting them quarterback sneaks. Because there's a real value to it's 3rd and 1 or 2, and there ain't nothing you can do about this, right? Regardless of what you think about him, large or whatever, there's something there. My concern, if I were the Commandos, is very obvious, which is the Eagles. You want to talk about a team that kept it simple when picking defense. Let's get a bunch of dudes from Georgia. But then, let's go a little crazy and get some white boys in the back. See how you like that? And you can't do nothing with them. That's the concern I'd have if I'm Washington, is that Jalen Carter et al., and Jalen Carter is terrifying. Them boys up front is coming. That's the other thing. It's not, and on the other side, it's not just Saquon. That dude, Mekhi Becton, who played for the Jets and was like 360 pounds or something like that at left tackle, and they moved him to the inside to play guard, they just mashing dudes out.
Yeah. Best line in the league. Shout out to Mekhi Becton. He's from Richmond. But yeah, man, big boys up front, defense that gets after you. But like I said, I'm still, bro, we got Jayden Cool under center. You know, we are straight, bro.
Dude, y'all believe. And
we are drinking all the Kool-Aid, man.
What I find to be very impressive in the fervor with which you all continue to believe is that, I mean, if I rooted for a team that had a very successful rookie quarterback and it made me feel like the future was going to be lights out for 10, 15 years, if that had happened to me and then all that it resulted in was terrible misery and division within my fan base, I would not be able to love again as freely and readily as y'all were. If I was y'all, I would spend every day realizing, Jayden Daniels, they actually don't really love you. They might turn on you any day. You might be on one leg and they'll still send your black ass out there and get roughed up. Like if I was you and if I was rooting for that team, I would always have it right over here on my shoulder that we really are still the same team. And this could all come crashing down and we could go back to being as sorry as we always were. That's what I, myself, would always be thinking about if I was you and I had come on Bomani's television or podcast and told him, I'm not going to let you off the hook with the Lions. Yeah, I'm off the hook, and I'm telling you right now, you should be scared. You should be terrified.
I mean, I'm not that scared because we've been there. We have been in hell for 90% of my life. You know what I mean? So I'm not scared. I'm a dude who once believed in 53-year-old Mark Brunell as our quarterback. You know what I mean? So, bro, like, I have been to hell and back, and I do that. I do think it's a new day, right? It's new ownership. You know, it's we've got a new front office.
Ask the Sixers about them owners. Ask the Sixers fans how they feel about them owners.
Anything is better than Dan Snyder, bro.
That is true. That is
Anything.
true. Hold on.
Anything.
And before we go to advertisements, I don't know how mad I'd be if I were a Sixers fan and if I watched Josh Harris come into Philadelphia and perhaps win a championship as the owner of them. Can't get us out the second round. Like, that is for those who don't know, the owner of the Commandos also owns the Sixers. So it could get real awkward because if he thinks they ain't about to hit him with a snowball, brother, you got another thing coming. Coming up next, gonna talk a little music. I have something I saw today I found to be interesting, and I think the homie Tyler would be great to talk about that. Coming up next.
Oh, yeah.
The NBA is in full swing and the NFL playoffs have begun, which means you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite teams only on Prize Picks. You can make a Prize Picks lineup between the NFL and the NBA in as little as 60 seconds. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. But rather than hearing it from me, let's hear from an expert picker. Sean, how them picks been going?
You know, I think I'm only an expert picker because I pick so much, but, with the NBA and NFL heating up, it's hard not to keep picking. And with Prize Picks, I can make picks between both leagues. And with the flex play, I can still cash out if my lineup isn't perfect. And as always, make sure you stick around for the end of each show to hear my upcoming picks. And if you know me, you know I'm always picking more.
So make sure you go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Peloton has what you need to keep you on track to your goals no matter what season of life you're in. Peloton helped me recover from my injury, and now I'm back in the gym using all the great stuff Peloton has to offer. Peloton has all sorts of classes depending on how hard you want to train. If you want to take it easy some days, you can take a lighter cycling or cardio class to help you with your recovery. They have programs to keep you on track, from strength training programs you can use at the gym to meditation and yoga for the postgame. Plus, you can challenge yourself anywhere with Peloton's all-access membership. You can work out where you need to, like at home, on your bike, tread and row, or take your favorite classes on the go and at the gym with the app. The app is super convenient, and I genuinely use it every week. And for me, I can really speak to Peloton's wide range of stretching and recovery classes, which are perfect to get my body moving at 100%. So make sure you download the Peloton app. Find your push, find your power with Peloton at onepeloton.com. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sean, it's 2025, which means everyone attempts to start their New Year's resolutions. Sean, you have any resolutions?
Well, for me, Bo, I never usually have a resolution because I know it's hard to keep it going past February. And in 2025, maybe you're ready for a plot twist, or maybe there's a part of your story that you've been wanting to revise. But life isn't about resolutions that fade by February. It's about picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own life. Think of your therapy as your editorial partner, helping you write new chapters and create the meaningful story you deserve to live.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit BetterHelp.com/Bomani today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Bomani. All right, we back here with the homie DragonflyJonez. I wanted to talk to you about this because you and I are of very similar ages, but at least when it
Mhm.
comes to the music at this point, your spirit is a bit more youthful than mine. Like you are able to keep up on new music and what's going on. And I have moved into my jazz era. That does not mean that I have abandoned the idea of new music, but right now I'm really, really enjoying listening to jazz. But I saw something before the show, and I tweeted about it just a little bit. They had brought a couple of thoughts to me, and I thought it might be cool to see what you were thinking about this. But I saw this tweet right here. Sean, if we can go ahead and throw this on the screen. And the gentleman says, my student said that if TikTok goes down, they won't know how to find music. Someone suggested using YouTube, but the response was, I don't know what to look up, which I think sums everything up. Now, I have to be fair here. I don't know what exactly it sums up for him necessarily, right? But my thought was this. If 30 years ago, you told me that they shut down the radio, how would we know how to find new music, right? Like that was just the tool that people use to find new music. TikTok, which is a narcotic that I had never participated in. Tyler, I think you're in the same boat as me. Like I sound like a black person of our age when they talk about cocaine. Nah, bro, I seen what that did. That shit killed in bias. Like, oh no, I ain't going nowhere near that. Did a little of this, did a little of that, but I ain't getting nowhere near that. But I had never really thought about it in the sense where people talk about how you need to or people making songs that they hope catch on TikTok. I had never thought of the TikTok algorithm being the radio. Like it's maybe the most influential DJ that had existed. And so to tell somebody, he's like, go to YouTube and it's like, I don't know what to look up. Yeah, I know YouTube will put some stuff, in the side panels for you, but really going to YouTube and being like, hey, I need some music. That's like going to Amazon being like, yo, just need some stuff. That sounds incredibly daunting and like borderline impossible. Like I see why nothing can break through anymore. If these are the mechanisms that we're talking about, it's just what an algorithm tells you to listen to is what you're going to listen to. But it's not that different from the old school because the old school, it wasn't an algorithm, it was people. But it is to me at least better when it's people. But like I'm curious, like how do you find stuff?
Yeah, going back to that tweet that you mentioned, I'm not sure exactly what the poster was getting at. What that explains everything. It feels anti-young people-ish, and I think we got to, as someone who gets on my ornery old man shit sometimes, I think we got to shoot the youngins some bail here because, like you mentioned, we had avenues of discovering music that no longer exists. Like there was a time when on Friday night and Saturday night, your local radio was playing underground rap that you never heard before. Right? Like I vividly remember the first time I heard Elevators by Outkast, summer 96, just because I had the radio playing at like 11 p.m. on a Friday night. And I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like I used to just tape like sight unheard Friday nights, when they get into the rap set, I'm recording that because I know there's going to be some gems on there that I'm going to love. And that doesn't exist anymore. We also had MTV. You know what I mean? Where just a video straight up devoted to a channel straight up devoted to music videos. Where besides just discovering new rap, like that was something that diversified our generation's music taste. Like we fell in love with like Nirvana and rock acts, via MTV and such, and that doesn't exist for these youngins anymore. So TikTok is really like all they have. And like I said, bro, I'm not gonna be too hard on the youngins. Because what the avenues for music discovery that we had no longer exist for them.
Well, another avenue for discovering music that people employ less and less is hanging out with other people and listening to what they're playing in their cars, right? Like,
yes,
I mean, that sort of thing. Riding with your parents, since everybody gets their own headset now, right? Riding with your parents and listening to whatever station they happen to be listening to whatever it is. But like I saw that and I really thought about it. Like if I went to YouTube and was like, okay, show me some music. You know what I mean? Like I had never thought of when I go to YouTube to look for something, I'm either looking for something specific in terms of what is the thing I'm looking for, or I'm looking for something, the topic is specific, even if it's not like, so I'm like, hey, show me some stuff in Vietnam. Okay, I'm going to look for things in Vietnam. If I'm going to look for music, I'm looking for a specific song that I am already aware of, and this is the thing that I want to go find. What we had previously, and I tweeted this part, because I tweeted about this a little bit, then I took it down because I was like, no, I'd rather talk about it here. And sometimes I don't want to hear what y'all think. Not you, y'all, but, you know, the royal, bigger y'all.
Yeah.
I'm just not interested in your opinions. Gatekeeping. It's gotten a bad rap.
Oh, we need more of that.
Yeah, gatekeeping
Firmly
is not
we need more
nearly as bad. Yeah, well, let me just throw this out here. The same reason you need a gate is the reason that the gate needs to be kept. The same reason you need a gate in real life is the reason that there is a need for a gate. Otherwise, the issue is that we're in this era of zero trust. And so people look at gatekeeping as something either arbitrary or sinister, like intentionally keeping certain people out, which of course is the way that people have employed the notion or idea. But with music, for example, you need to have somebody trustworthy to curate what's going on and whittle it down a little bit to make it far more digestible for us as consumers to enjoy what's going on. Now, I'm not pretending like there wasn't payola back in the day or all this other stuff, but like take like the New York street mixtapes of the 90s, right? Ron G, DJ Clue, that type of stuff. What we were doing with all those people was we were saying, I trust that these guys have good taste. And they're going to put me on to something that I would. They go through all this, they hear all this stuff, and then they're going to play something and I'm going to hear it. And then maybe I'm going to want to check it out. That was the same thing with your radio DJ before the corporations took over the playlist. I trust that dude, right? The algorithm says to you, you like something like this, so I'm going to give you more of it. And to me, a better way to get stuff is I trust this person rather than I have found things that bear a mathematical similarity to what you have already listened to.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the mixtape DJs, they were legends to us when we were growing up. Like, you know, the DJ Clues, the K Slays, like, you know, just when we would just, you know, walk down the street, you know, see the bootleg man on the corner, you drop him $5 and you get 20 new songs that you never heard before from some of your favorite rappers, right? Like that doesn't exist anymore.
Or a rapper you've never heard of before.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, you know, I'm with you on gatekeeping, especially when it comes to like the commentary on music. Because I think there's so many people who decide to go down the lane of rap commentary, not because it's something that they love, not because it's an art form that they love and respect and value. It's because they see it as a career path, and it's so evident to tell the people who are just in it. So we for sure need some gatekeeping there. But as far as me, you know, being an old head and who's kind of has my ear plugged to the youngins a bit, I gotta say, bro, I got a cheat code. I got a 21-year-old godson. You know what I'm saying? So so he's always plugging me in with new stuff, right? Like he's a huge NBA Youngboy fan. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but NBA Youngboy is one of the more You know, Louisiana rappers are always good money in my book. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He is just so very interesting because he is like one of the top 3 most streamed artists in the world. He is a super megastar on the internet and with zero radio play. He is a fascinating figure there. But that's kind of like, you know, the era that we're living in now, where you don't necessarily need the radio anymore to be a megastar, especially with the youngins, right? Like as long as they can put you up on Apple Music or YouTube, you know, you're going to be good money there. So the whole just the whole landscape has changed, bro.
Yeah, like NBA Youngboy. One thing as I get older, I try to be very conscientious of is being very careful to not have an opinion about things I don't know anything about, right? Like it's very easy to look at something and like think you know how you're going to feel about it, or look at who the people are that are into it and decide that you're on the other side of that. And I don't want to be that person. So I had a day where I decided to go check out NBA Youngboy, and I was like, oh, this is actually good. Like I saw, like when that boy Juice WRLD was alive, I remember I checked him out. It wasn't for me, but I understood what was going on. I would like to point out they had a Juice WRLD, and if you're not familiar with Juice WRLD, it's some sad shit, man. They had I mean, his story is sad, but also that music, it's a bummer. They had a Juice WRLD tribute concert the other day, and I was like, I'd be damned if I pay money to sit around with 10,000 people being sad. That's where they had that dude that looked like Buddy. What's Buddy name from wrestling? That had the big dude that had the blonde hair and like the overalls, the big old fat black dude. I can't remember what his name is.
About.
Yeah, but it's another rapper they got now. I think they call him Dave something. He was sitting there wearing a purple shirt with an oxygen mask, rapping sitting down. And I was just like, this is the saddest concert I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah, yeah, especially considering the way that we lost Juice World, and that rapper dude was just like his whole thing is promoting lean and shit. So, but yeah,
They still doing that?
Juice, the youngins still are, So yeah, but yeah, man, it's like you said, like Juice World, like like you said, even though you weren't really feeling them personally, you can see the talent there. Incredible at creating melodies and creating
Yeah.
songs there, right? Like that was a tragic loss there. But yeah, bro, it's a new day, man. It's a new day with these youngins, and the
Yeah.
way music is consumed is just completely different.
Yeah, and I don't I am floored though just by the idea of how are you supposed to come across any of these things, and how is there to be an established like commonality in this? Like what was most amazing to me about that LiAngelo Ball song was how quickly it got around and it became something that everybody knew. And I am curious how much there is at this point that reaches the everybody knows it, and how for me I feel like things come around like NBA YoungBoy. The stuff I've listened to is good and he's a megastar, but I don't have a song that I point to and be like, oh, I know this is him, or that I could expect to talk to everybody. Like everybody else is a broad term, but you know what I mean. But I could expect to put out there, and people like nobody's hit me and been like, oh, you don't know ... I've had this conversation with numerous people, right? I don't know how it is without some measure of curation that we don't get to a place where we can actually share this stuff. Like where we can all kind of get in and just be like, not like us. That's what made that so different. It belonged to everybody except for the suckers. The
Yeah.
suckers could have joined on board, but they instead decided that they wanted to be suckers. They would rather be suckers than get on a good thing. Hey, man, what can I say? Some of y'all were raised by suckers. But how does that happen without some curation? And so when Buddy's like, this is where it is, he's like, I don't know how to look it up. No, I don't either. Personally, guide me. Be my Sherpa. Tell me how to find stuff I'm like.
Yeah, yeah. And I think also it's a double-edged sword with the streaming era, right? Like it is incredible that there's any song you want to hear, you go on Apple Music, you search it, Spotify, you search it, and you'll find it. It's right there at your fingertips. I think that's incredible. We are truly living in the future in that aspect. But also, I think it makes music more disposable because music is so easy to find like that, right? Like back in our days when we were spending $17 on a CD, we were like, we are going to find some good music on this shit. I spent my hard-earned money on it. Like I remember I bought Mace's second album, Double Up, terrible album. And I was so committed to finding a song on there that I liked, and there was nothing.
Wow.
Right? But I put in hours. I put in a work shift to listen to that album to try to find something that stuck because, like I said, music wasn't as disposable back then. We were spending our hard-earned money on these things,
Yo, that's such a big point. Roy Wood, check out his special, Lonely Flowers, on Hulu. Roy came on here once and he made a great point, and he was like, you used to have to pay $12 to have an opinion. That's a very important distinction. Like I was talking to some people about vinyl, and part of what is interesting about vinyl, like when I think about this as more than just like listening as more than commerce, right? As more than a transaction, is that vinyl forces a patience, right? It requires me to sit with that which I might not immediately love. Yeah, I could get up, walk across the room, get the needle, look close, pick it up, put it down on the next song that I like or whatever it is. Nah, man, I ain't doing that. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna ride out with what it is, right? Like I'm not expecting this instant gratification in the process of listening that we have. There's a book, I need to read it. I want to find the title. I don't typically like recommend to you books that I have not read, but I read an interview with the woman who did this, and it seems to be really interesting. Oh gosh, I got to find this. But it's basically just about how Spotify has not just affected the music industry, but Spotify has affected music generally. It has affected the way that we listen to music. All of these things. Oh, I think it's called Mood Machine. Yes, Mood Machine, the rise of Spotify and the cost of the perfect playlist. Like I'm very curious to get in there and to check that out. But yes, I agree with you. The disposability, the ability just to toss it and go to another one is not. I have come to the conclusion actually that Spotify and the streaming services are net negatives for music and honestly for the music consumer. I believe they have become net negatives. Like I think it was better if we were dealing with smaller digestible chunks of things than this illusion that we can get to everything. So on one level, it's great for sampling, right? Great for going back in the day and hearing older stuff and seeing if you like it. But in terms of how we process new stuff, I think we've all lost, actually. Like, I think the illusion of choice and the idea that I can have whatever I want, sometimes life's about more than that. You know, it's kind of metaphorical in a sense.
Yeah, for sure. Like, when we were kids, when we were teenagers growing up, like, bro, we were buying maybe 1 or 2 albums a month, and like they stuck
Yes.
with you'd get ATLs by Outkast, and bro, that would hold you down for the whole year. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it would hold you down for months on end. And it's like now with we get new music every Friday, and it feels like, bro, that new music has a shelf life of 1 week until the next new music Friday comes around.
Yes. It is. You're right. Once you put that money in on it, you're gonna give it a run. I only recall money being spent on one album that immediately was discarded, and that was Immobility, the second Raekwon album, and the word had hit the streets that it was Bashura. Everybody said it was Cheeks. Cheeks, I tell you, Cheeks. But Cuban Links was so dope, it felt like we owed him. And I walked away feeling like he owed us.
Yeah. Immobility that would get my vote for the worst follow-up album to a classic album in rap history. I think you could probably I think Dogfather's in the conversation too. And Dogfather is decent. Yeah, Dogfather is decent, but Doggy Style was just out of here, dog. Right. I think World Party by Goody Mob following up Still Standing is in the discussion. All-time letdown there for me too.
So I think World Party is in a similar category as LL Cool J Walking with the Panther. Bruh, that's not what we asked for. Right? Like we did not because World Party got a couple of jams. Get Rich to This is a jam. Chain Swang
that's a heater.
Is a jam. Yeah, but it's not what the people wanted from you. And Walking with the Panther, which is in this conversation also, the most arrogant album anybody has ever made in the history of arrogance, which is a bold statement to make.
Man put a gold rope on a panther for the album cover with the Mercedes-Benz down. LL was different.
Like
He's different. He's a different dude.
I need to know who told him at that point, when the album before that you did I Need Love, who told you that Trina got a big old butt, so I'm leaving you was a good idea? Who said to him, nobody, the fellas didn't want it, the ladies didn't want it, nobody wanted it.
A man who contains multitudes right there, bro. But, resilience, bro. Multitudes. He bounced back and was giving us heaters for 20 years after that. Like,
he did.
Interesting
had a whole
dude
career
there.
By the age of 22. An entire career at 22.
Yeah,
wow,
bro.
really
Mama said knock you out. Like Mama said knock you out. He made that album because people said he was cooked at 22 years old. Right?
22 years old.
Yeah.
Now, it's hard to explain to the kids because I generally believe that longevity is cool, but like that's my argument against you guys that have jumped on the Braun wagon, is you guys are giving him way too much credit for staying good while he's old. And to me, it's like, what were you when you were the hottest, when you were the heatiest heat? What were you, right? LL got 20 years of, I don't know about that. But there's a 4-year period where nothing else matters. He's that guy.
Yeah, you're way more of a peaks guy. I'm a bit more of a longevity, complete body of work guy, contrasting opinions, and that translates over to our sports analysis, our music analysis too. Yeah. Like I remember when we were talking Kendrick, and you were like, Kendrick never had a moment, like Cube's America's Most Wanted, and so wholeheartedly agree with you. But I think personally Kendrick I think he has the best discography in rap history. West Coast rap history. Let me clarify that. I think he has, and he doesn't have the highs that Snoop had on Doggy Style. He doesn't have the highs that Cube had for sure. He doesn't have the highs that Dre had, with both the Chronics. But I think that longevity, complete body work, Kendrick has the best discography in West Coast rap history. But like we said, different views that we have there.
But see, that's the thing. Here's what I think you not stumbled on, but I think the point you make spells out to me, which is a shift I've made in the way that I look at things, because I used to look at it much more like as you did. I think you are probably correct about the discography. I separate the rapper or performer from the discography itself in terms of my determination of what I consider to be the greatness of that person, right? So if and the discography part is a bit more of a quantification, but if you can then, it makes sense that you're like, a rapper is as good as the music that they make, and here is the collection of the music that they've made, and it is a better collection than the music that anybody else has made, ergo, therefore, this would be the best rapper. It makes sense. Like, I totally get it. But I think about, like, for example, the old heads who say Run DMC is better than Outkast. I think Outkast got everybody beat. I think it's the discography, and it's also just the way that it made me feel. But I could go back and listen to that first Run DMC album, and I'd be like, oh, I understand why somebody is like, nothing ever made me feel like this here made me feel. And what is more important than the way that this thing here made me feel, right? And so, like, I lean more into that part of it now than I used to, because I think that gets us to a slightly different place. Now, with Kendrick, to me, what's interesting about him is he's a guy where any live performance I've seen of him has the feeling from him that I don't always get when I listen to him on record. Like, on record, it feels like they're trying so hard to execute as opposed to just like the feel. But I give you another example. I can't play no tape by KRS-One to make no kid understand what the big deal is. I watched KRS-One during that verses with Big Daddy Kane, and I was like, yep, I forgot. That's the most captivating man I've ever seen rap. Like, if all we give everybody is a microphone, nothing else, no beats, no lights, nothing. In fact, not even no microphone, just you. And I say, okay, everybody rap, and let's say who the best. There's no question who's winning that contest. None.
Yeah. KRS-One, whoever you are, wherever you are, you have to come to the South Bronx.
Yes.
The teacher, man. Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, like you said, and that's why, like, these rap conversations are just, you know, something where, listen, bro, we have to be from like the same generation, the same era. We probably have to be from the same geographical reasons for us to discuss certain things too. Like, there's just so many moving parts with rap. You know, like I said, it's divided on generational lines, it's divided on regional lines, it's divided on sound lines. So there's just and the thing about music conversations is the music conversations always are driven to kind of seek a consensus, and you're not going to have that with rap. It's just it's too much of a rapidly evolving genre that has so many different pieces at play. Like I said, generation divides, regional divides, etc.
The problem is the most influential media outlet of the last, we'll call it 30 years, is ESPN. And every topic gets turned into a sports like who's the best conversation. We have a long track record of music journalism, musical analysis, all of this stuff. And it wasn't about who was the greatest. It was about explorations of different things, and you could talk about the greatness within them. Of course, magazines would do lists and stuff like that. And, you know, that's a relatively modern sort of thing. Like, I don't want to pretend like those things never happened. But the discussion was not always so much what's better, what's best, That gets people charged up, and people figure that out. And so they kept, like, going to that well. But we can just talk about something on the basis of it being hot, right? Or just on the base. Like, I feel like this is the thing that hit me. I went to the Roots Jam session one year in New York during the Grammys. And the Roots will play behind all these different acts. It's a wide range. It's always real fascinating, right? Like, I walk in, I see the homie Crit practicing his rhymes, right? But you look up and Gary Clark closed it out. Like, it was just all kinds of people. Chuck D came out. And this was the first time I had seen Chuck D rap in person. And Chuck D, to me, the forgotten great MC. That was the first time I had seen Chuck D rap in person. There was no way in the world you were going to tell me that it was a better rapper in this world than Chuck D from listening to him rap right then. And this is at a show with Black Thought, who, by the way, is doing Flavor Flav because he can do everybody's voice. And then Black Thought gets up there and does other Black Thought stuff. And there's no way in the world you were going to tell me that somebody's a better rapper than they do. Like, there's some people I just feel like if you say that, okay. There's some people where if you say this is the best rapper ever, I'm just like, man, get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like, that's crazy talk. But if you don't believe that KRS was the greatest rapper of all time, okay. If you say it's Jay-Z, I see why you would say that, right? Now, you come out here and you start talking about Magoo or something like that. Nah, come on, man. Like I ain't gotta entertain anything you say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I've got my handful of rappers where I'm like, there's times I've listened to this guy rap and I think he's the best to ever do it. Right, Black Thought is for sure in there. Kendrick is been in there with a few verses that he's had. Andre 3000 is in there. It's up there for me too.
Yes.
Just a few. Biggie for sure. I think Jay-Z could possibly be the GOAT, but I think there's so many rappers who are just better than him. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's so much nuance in these conversations.
Yeah, the Jay-Z one, he's so fascinating because if you start talking about discography, his is an interesting ride, right? Like it's not quite as consistent as one would like it to be. At his best, it's just unreal. And I will say this for him. I don't think anybody makes rapping sound easier than he does. Like, Andre 3000 makes rap sound like it's easy to him. But it doesn't make you think, oh, I could go do that. Jay-Z can get in places where it feels like, no, you can't. You can't. And that whole doesn't write it down thing and everything else. Like, there's some emotional spaces that he can't always go. His hook game is not that strong. But like just lyrics, when he is on it, it's just like, oh God, how are you so good at this? Like if you say he's your greatest, I think a lot of that has to do with branding also. But if you say that he is your greatest, I understand how you got there because so many people think he their daddy. You know what I'm saying? It makes it a somewhat difficult thing to talk about.
Yeah, he's someone who I do not he's on my do not discuss list on Twitter for sure because of that very reason.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Allen Iverson, Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
Just like this means something. This means something more to them.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I mean, Jay-Z at his best is as good as anybody. But to your point, I do think that his influence and his impact is for sure what kind of propels him a bit.
Yeah. No, it's a lot. We got up about to the line here on this hour, but that's my man Tyler, DragonflyJonez. Check out Jenkins Jones. Check out the Jenkins Jones podcast on the Volume Network. Shout out to the homie Big Show. The Big Show has been making many cameo appearances when you boys got to talk bad about Drake. Every time y'all ready to talk bad about Drake, now John got to hold the baby. Big Show is right there chilling out while his daddy's losing his mind.
The homie for sure. Yeah, man.
I came up with that the other day for him, and I was very proud. Like, I look forward to calling
That's
him
a good
Big
one.
Show.
That's a good one. We got to run with that.
I thought so, right? I thought so.
Yeah. That's a good one. We've been calling homie for sure. You know what I'm saying? So.
Oh, yeah. Nah, he the Big Show with Uncle Bo. Like, next time I get out there, I got to come over there and hang out with the Big Show. He seems to be a pretty tranquilo amigo.
Yeah, he chill as hell, man.
Hey, man, my brother, I appreciate you.
For sure. Always a good time hopping on with you, bro.
All right, man. Thank you. Sean, you got prize picks for the people? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this 3 times a week. That's Sean, you handling everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Remember, follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. And we'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.